doing things slightly differently. So obviously I always review brand new cars, the latest cars, but I think there's value in reviewing something old and classic, something that you want to see, something that I enjoy driving and want to see as well. So this week I'm driving and reviewing an Alfa Romeo GTV. It's Alfa Romeo GTV. I don't know if you've heard of it, but I'm sure you've seen it. And for me, it's a car that I've always loved. Growing up, it's a car that I've always loved, always wanted to drive, and it's happening. We're in one now. I'm driving one. The GTV, just to give you a bit of history and understanding of where it comes from and actually what it is. So this car was produced between 1993 and 2004. So 93, that's when I was born. And, you know, it's a perfect match for me. But the amazing thing is that this unit right here is about 25 years old. If you look at the design, a car that was designed between 93 or sold and produced between 93 and 2004, this design is timeless. This car turns heads. In 2023, people are checking this car out as I'm driving it everywhere. And that's one of the reasons why I fell in love with the GTV. Now, one of my favorite parts about this car's design is just the profile itself. So it's got a very low slung profile, and when you look at it, it's low slung, but it sort of has an angle to it, front, back, right? And at the back, it's that big rear spoiler, so it's got a big rear wing on it, which I really love. This car came out in GTV, which is what we're driving today, and in Spider. So the Spider is the convertible, and I much rather prefer the GTV to the Spider in this car. It was actually called the 916 series. That's what this is. The crazy part about this design is that this car won numerous awards back in the day, back in its time, like literally numerous design awards. That's how good looking it was. So it won numerous design awards and performance awards. And in 1998, this was said to be one of the best sports cars of its time by Jeremy Clarkson. So for me, that says a lot about this car. So it's not just about the look for me, it's also about the engine. I mean, for Jeremy Clarkson to say that this is one of the best sports cars of its time, that says a lot. Because I mean, he's a motoring journalist like myself. So back then, this was the car. It has a 3-liter V6 engine at the front for such a small car, right? 3-liter V6, 24 valve. And for me, it's not just about the size of the engine, it's how the engine performs in this car, the sound. So it almost sounds like a 325 IS, and unfortunately you're not going to be able to hear that because I'm going to have to roll down the windows, which means a lot of wind noise. So you won't be able to hear that right now and today. But if you close your eyes, and I drove this car hard and I revved this car, you would think it's probably a 325 IS. It's got that similar sound to that. And the nice thing about it for me is that when I open the windows, somehow the sound comes from the sides of the car. It doesn't come from the back. Somehow it's funneled from the sides. I don't know how the exhaust has been created in this car, but you literally hear everything. And that's really cool about this car. The other cool thing is that when you're driving it and you really want the engine to come alive and you really want to hear it, rev it up to about 5,000 RPM. So let it roll to about 5,000 RPM before you shift gears. And the engine sound completely changes. It becomes a monster at 5,000 and above. And that's a really cool thing about this car. I really love it. So the car's a 6-speed manual gearbox, and obviously it's a driver's car, it's driver orientated, it's a manual car. But the cool thing about it is that it's got such a long gear ratio and so much torque, so you can literally ride every gear out, like all the way through the rev range, change all the way through the rev range. And it's got the torque as well, so you can really just stick it into a high gear and keep going. Easy. let's talk about the interior of this car for a moment. Let's keep in mind that the car is 25 years old, right? With about 162,000 kilometers. So it's a well-preserved car, but the interior is in such good nick. It feels like a brand new car. There's really nothing to fault for me in the interior. And to think that back in the day, they were smart enough to create like such beautiful looking seats. It's got leather seats all around, but the design of the seats, the little stitching and, you know, all these little things. I mean, it's the Italians. That's what they do. That's what they're known for. You've got the Alfa Romeo badge embossed into the seats, which is really nice. It is technically a 4-seater, but you really wouldn't be able to fit anyone in there. I mean, I've got my gym bag at the back here. As you can see, that's about the only thing you can fit in the back, but it wasn't made for families. It wasn't made for having people in the back. It's a performance car. The boot is this big, literally this big. You can only fit like a backpack or something in the boot, and obviously the spare tire, which I think takes up like 80% of the boot. So that's what this car is all about. You've got electric windows, you've got aircon, you've got climate control, and the cool part about it is that in the front we've got ourselves a cassette player, which some of you may not know about. Those of you that were born in the 2000s, we've got a cassette player in the front, and we've also got a CD shuttle in the back. So that's a really cool thing. I think this car came out in that cusp between cassette and CD. So the Italians just added both, CD shuttle at the back and a cassette player in the front.
It's calling me.
Now, this wouldn't be an Alfa Romeo if we weren't going to talk about the bad stuff, right? It's an Alfa Romeo. These cars are known to have issues. And I mean, with this car, and it's all electric issues, by the way. It's nothing really mechanical. It's all just electric issues. This car, at night, the instrument cluster, the center stack, because all the dials are here on the center stack, which I like. At night, when you drive this car, none of the stuff is illuminated. So you literally, the cabin just feels black, dark and eerie. You can't see your speedometer, you can't see your, what do you call this, your rev counter, oil gauge, fuel gauge over there. You can't see anything. And that's just an electrical issue in an Alfa Romeo. So the lights don't work on the inside at night. I was driving the car the other day and it was raining, right? Guess what? The wipers don't work at all. The car is in immaculate condition. There's nothing wrong with the car. It's been well preserved. It's got 160 something thousand Ks on it, but things like the wipers don't work, the lights on the inside don't work. It's an Alfa Romeo, and there's a saying that you buy an Alfa Romeo with your heart and not with your head. It's true. Finally, some of you may like the car, may be looking for the car, and the interesting thing is that there aren't many available on the market. So I've had a look online to try and see what we're looking at price-wise, you know, what kind of condition you'll find. There aren't many. There's only actually one that I was able to find online that was for sale. Only one. But you just don't find them. And this for me is a future classic, if not already a classic. It's just one of those cars.